Imagine you are born with perfect vision until one morning you wake up and see less than you did the day before. Then, one day, no matter how wide you open your eyes or how many lights you turn on, you find your days getting shorter with no solstice in sight. Look in the mirror, but no one looks back. Reach for clothes, but they have no color. Face someone you love, but they have no recognizable face. My name is Thomas Panek, and I'm a person who's visually impaired, and I have a guide dog here named 10. He's my eyes. I'm a CEO, a husband, and father, and a runner. So I was born in Chicago, and I noticed early on when I was about 8 years old that, like a jigsaw puzzle, losing its pieces, I started to slowly miss things. The world was disappearing around me, and I didn't quite know why. You know, I didn't want to be different. I wanted to fit in like any kid does, and I didn't want to admit that something could be very wrong with me. And I want to continue moving along, moving forward. I don't want to just sit still and stay home. I got to keep doing things. I got to still find a way to get out there. I was sort of at a low point living in my parents' basement. I had dropped out of college. I couldn't drive. I had a hard time crossing a street on my own. And, you know, at this point in time, it was pretty obvious that I couldn't see very well. And I heard a story about a talking computer. And it happened to be located 700 miles away at American University. And so I packed up my suitcase and felt my way onto the airplane. And when I arrived and was able to get to the library, felt around and pushed this button, and this computer turned on, and it said, "Welcome to Talking Book," like that in a computer voice. It came up with what a guide dog does, and it talked in a robot voice and said, "Guide dogs are able to help you navigate stairs, find obstacles and escalators." It was like that kind of reading to me about what a guide dog is, and I was mesmerized. And the young lady at the desk who was there, I don't know why, but I just said, "I'll be gone for a while. I'm going to get a guide dog." And she said, "What for?" And I said, I can't see well anymore. I sort of let my secret out. That young lady at the front desk, we've been married 25 years. We have 4 children. It was a moment in time where everything in my life at that very moment in time was about to change for the better. When I received my guide dog, I was deeply grateful, and I just felt like running. I started kind of almost jogging with the dog, and the trainer said, "No, guide dogs aren't supposed to run. They're not trained to run." People feared that if a person who was blind was running with their guide dog, that the guide dog couldn't do it, or it would be dangerous, or people who are blind don't need to run, is what I heard many times. It's good enough just to walk. So these were the things I was hearing. The dog is not trained to run, and why do you want to run? Why would you want to run? You don't have your vision. With the talking computer being able to read my books and the dog being able to get me to class, I was able to get a degree and get a master's degree. I was able to sign up for the Foreign Commercial Service, working at 2 American embassies abroad. Spent a lot of time in the White House with 3 different administrations on helping people with disabilities have access to employment. Worked with wounded warriors in Bethesda Naval and Walter Reed Hospital who were coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan blinded. And I would stand by their bedside and tell them, "I understand you've lost your vision, but I can help you. You know, there's a path forward, and here's what I did." So just to keep people inspired. And so I was able to really, you know, do that and give back in a lot of ways. But I still couldn't run with my guide dogs. So I was thinking to myself, at some point, I would really like to give it a try. The opportunity to give other people the gift of a guide dog and the opportunity to lead an organization that trains guide dogs, for me, was a moment in life where I really felt the calling and, you know, joined Guiding Eyes for the Blind in 2014. I embarked on an idea that we could try to train a guide dog to run. At the time, Guiding Eyes for the Blind was the only organization in the world that was trying this. and had a real desire to help people who, maybe didn't want to sit still, be more mobile and active and achieve their running goals. When I picked up the harness from Gus and the trainers were around me and they said, "You can run now." And I said, "This really is possible." I set the New York Half Marathon as the goal. Everybody said no. Race officials said no. The city said no because guide dogs had not been allowed to run, and people saying, "No, you can't do this." And then me saying, "But this is how I run." I had to be strong and I had to say, "I'm going to do this and collaborate with you to find a way to do it safely and successfully." 3 water stops and 3 dogs. Wesley, a big black lab, doing the first part of the race with me. Waffle, his litter mate, picking up the race at the Manhattan Bridge. Through Times Square with Gus, my guide dog, put on the harness and ran the rest of the last 5 miles through that same Central Park that we practiced in so many times. It was really an amazing moment crossing the finish line, mostly because I didn't know I crossed it. Nobody told me that I was there. But the dog, he just knew. And they wanted to put a medal around my neck, and I said, he deserves it more than I do. He deserves it much more than I do. And they put the medal around his neck, and I knew that at that point, these dogs can run. I started to receive calls, letters, emails from people, all over the world who saw this story about this man who ran this race guided by dogs. And it was an unbelievable amount of people that wanted to know more. How was it even possible? How did you do it? I want to go the distance. I did half of a marathon with a dog, and one of my dreams is to finish the full marathon guided by dogs. That would be life's goal. And I think if I go back 25 years and see myself standing there, not quite knowing what is going to happen, I would have just said, it's going to be okay. And I think that's something that I tell people now who've just lost their vision and are grappling to deal with this fear of being left alone in the dark, and just saying, it's going to be okay. It's going to be more than okay. You're going to do great. You're going to do great things. Don't sit still. That's what I would say.